It's just by,
There it goes.
No,
I'd like
the
to
light
explain.
wasn't picking up, but now it is.
just an electronic payment, basically, or transaction.
Right, there's no paper or nothing to it, is what I understand.
That's right.
Well, that's what they were telling me, the girls telling me.
I was gonna.
We'll let the ladies
On
come in.
President Day, I was gonna inform you they're coming.
Yep.
You gonna give them a target slip?
Yeah, give them something.
Is
Here.
it $5?
It is, yeah.
Someone.
They get a target slip.
We got it on, because
It's a little laggy. Okay.
there they are.
Quit hanging on to it.
Yeah, you did.
Sorry for the workshop. That's okay.
You need the table. Come on down.
Okay, I've got 5:01. We'll call this meeting to order.
No target slips, girls.
Dang it.
Mr. Hughes, would you mind opening us in prayer, please?
Bowing. Lord, thank you for the opportunity to come together and gather around this table to discuss the matters of this school. And Lord, we're thankful for a successful start to the year, and that all the staff and the admin and students have been safe, and that they had a safe summer as well. Lord, as we continue to discuss the business here, we pray that you will be with each and every one of us as we make the decisions here, and we pray that the decisions that we make will be beneficial to the school here, and that each and everything we do will be for these kids. Lord, again, forgive us for our sins. In Christ's name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you. All right, and the next item on the agenda is the open discussion session. Was there anybody that signed up to speak publicly? All right. Okay. Next item then would be to consider the previous month's regular meeting minutes and any special meeting minutes.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
Have a motion and a second to approve the previous month's regular meeting minutes and the special meeting minutes. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Next item is to consider financial reports and bills.
She didn't print you a year-end report, but I'll have her send you a year-end report. But if you look over to the left side, you can see what we ended with, the year with. In each fund, in the operating fund and also in the, federal fund.
Are we due to receive some funds anytime soon?
Yeah, we get funds in this month, then, we get money in this month, and then the taxes, we start getting taxes in this month. Pay the bills, so.
I'll make the motion to approve.
I'll second it.
Have a motion to approve the financial reports and bills. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, next item on the agenda is the ACH blanket approval.
The girls told me that they've got one vendor you've got to pay with this ACH, which is like a wire transfer, that's what, and they just want to know that as this was the first, but this won't be the last request to do that, and if we could have a blanket approval that we could do that ACH transfer, wire transfer if, for any other bills that we have, anybody else that submits that, that's what they'd like for us to be able to do.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
All right, we have a motion and a second to approve the ACH blanket payment system. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. Next item is the property insurance update.
Oh, they lied to us? They did, they lied to us. You know, they back when the state took it over, they said you're gonna save 40%. Then they said maybe 20%. Then they said, well, no more than it was last year, so that's what the bill, that's what it's gonna be. Last year we paid $62,638, you got a $25,000 deductible on that. So, I mean, that's, the only thing that's good for is if you have something like Wynn had over there, and that's how come they went, basically, the people that insured company went out of business because they didn't reinsure it through like a Lloyd's of London or something, and they went broke basically. And so that's one reason, that what they were gonna do is divide up, they were gonna take that, what they had to pay out and divide it up among all the school districts, and they said, whoa. You know, so that's why the state took this thing over. But they told us first meeting I listened to on Zoom, they said, well, we're gonna save it about 40%, and that's what I told y'all. Then this next thing I know, my brother called and he said, well, it's not gonna be what, maybe 20%. And now it's, what, no more than it was last year. But that's at least a better, because it's been going up about $10,000 to $12,000, $15,000 a year.
Yeah.
And, so,
Did you say
Yeah.
$25,000 deductible?
$25,000 deductible. And you gotta have a major, basically a major occurrence, and it can't be it's gotta be you know, like, it can't be over a period of a week, you know, it's gotta be, some kind of major problem, wind, some kind of damage, some kind of major fire, some kind of major damage before you're ever gonna be able to, if you don't insure your property, then, you know, I think about wind over there, if they hadn't had, their schools gone, I mean, their buildings were gone, it took them a year and a half to ever get their facilities back where they could basically have a school they were renting. I think churches and everything else trying to get their kids into class. So, but best I can, it's like I said, the state took it over, it's gonna be about right at $63,000. The last I saw it was 62,638. So, now budgeted 63,000 for it. I'd ask you to approve that, please.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Have a motion and a second to approve the property insurance policy. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, next item on the agenda is the principal's report, starting with Mrs. Bradbury.
Principal Danny Jones, I should
Yeah.
have, Principal
Yeah.
Danny Jones.
I'm next.
Yeah, you all do all this thing together.
We're
We
trying
got-
to
oh,
kinda
then,
stall,
all
we're
four-
trying to stall.
All four of us,
Thank
we got
you.
life jackets on together right now.
Yeah. Now, I'm trying to stall because something was left on her desk, so it's up to you and I.
Oh.
As much as somebody else.
Oh, I got plenty to say. I got lots of
Okay.
things.
All right, well, so day 3 of school, things have gone pretty well. So not a lot to report. Our numbers at the elementary have dropped just a little. We're at 241. I'm not sure what it was at the end of last year, but I think it was like 258. Seemed like it was around there. We have had several families move. Kindergarten numbers are about 13, they're down a little. I mean, 13 per class, down a little, not as much as probably some schools. I think last year kindergarten were about 16 in each class, but about 13 in each class. We have 30 days from last Wednesday when school started to do our beginning of the year screener. So teachers are not going to do that this week or next, I'm sure, but before, I believe it's September 15th, 14th or 15th. And so, my next board meeting, because that data should come back. The beginning of the year screen, I think, should come back quickly.
Immediately, just went out.
Yeah, so. During the teacher in-service, we did go through all the data. Karen was kind enough to print out all that data for teachers. So we did go through that. We're working on getting our intervention groups together at the elementary. Getting pretty close to doing that as far as the Maggie, the dyslexia coordinator, and the paraprofessionals. Stop now. Okay. So we're getting close to getting those groups to get going. We pulled back all of our ones to look at those, see which ones are getting intervention services already through the special ed classroom, and then which ones are not receiving services already to make sure they get interventions. And then our tier 2, we do have, thanks to the high school, Miss Thomas that will be coming over first period to help with some of our tier 2 interventions with math, which is kind of new for us, having a math person besides our math teachers in the classrooms to help with interventions. So that's all that's new for us.
Okay.
High school, first of all, I mailed our letter last week for volleyball to the AAA. We had a lot of interest. We also had coaches that were recruiting people real hard. So hopefully they stick with it. We have a volleyball meeting tomorrow night. We'll see how many come to that. But yeah, our letter of intent has been sent to AAA, so that will put us on the schedule for next year. And they've got some plans of what we're gonna do this year to kind of get them going and get them started. Have one more handbook thing that I need to bring y'all that Miss Braun reminded me of last night. So in our handbook, I can tell you what page it's on. It used to be that the only classes that were weighted on the 5-point scale were AP classes. But now, because they're trying to push kids to take these concurrent credit classes for the merit and distinction diplomas, they are now weighting concurrent credit on the 5.0 scale. So we need to change that. That change just got made in like July. So we need to change that in our handbook. That is on page 75, Pam says. So it would just say that, and then next year when we do our handbook, it's, her suggestion was instead of like separating AP and concurrent credit, that we list it all as an accelerated learning, which is basically what all those classes are. So we do need to change that if you guys will approve that to line up with what the state recommend or mandate, I guess you'd say. It's not a recommendation, it's mandate. Our numbers at high school down a little bit. We're at 193 enrollment, 7 through 12 right now. I think we are getting a few more students that I've heard of in the next couple of days that are coming in to it. I don't know what our enrollment was at the end of last year, but it was a little over 200. I don't know what the exact number was, but we're at 193 right now. Facilities, we have done some upgrades this summer that got finished like right in time for school to start. We have like brand new carpet in the banner. It looks amazing and smells much better. And that floor in the back hall that had flooded, that has all been replaced. The cheer room, that has all been replaced. So sometime if you guys are around, go check that out. It looks really nice. Karen's going to tell you more about interventions and things like that, but we are kind of the same spot Ms. Bradbury's in. We're looking at test scores, and they're going to be looking at who's going to be replaced in what groups for our win, which is that what I need period, to see, you know, what intervention they need the most. Because some students will need interventions maybe in all 3, science, math, and English, and so then it's just a matter of looking at, okay, what do they need the most, or where are they close to that next level where we can bump them up a little bit. But Karen will talk more about that, and that's kind of where we're at right now. If there's anything else I was going to tell you all.
What was the final number for the volleyball signups?
Oh gosh, it was
46, I believe.
Yeah.
Wow, really?
Yeah, 7 through 12.
Wow.
Yeah, it goes all the way down to 7, but we'll, you know, like I said, we'll see how many, cause this year, it's all gonna be after school practice, so I don't know that many will show up when we start practicing, but, we had a lot of interest, for sure.
We'll probably play most of our games in the elementary PE facility, because we have the setup over there. And, like I said, we're playing more practice this year, trying to learn the rules and stuff like that. Next year, before we do the floor, we'll have to cut the holes and make sure we got the right things. This year, we've already redone the floor, so I hate to go in there and try to reline that on top of it. But, we've got a little bit of bleachers up over there that, and if the parents want to come and watch them, I think we can get by with that over there right now, and without having to do something right now immediately. That this summer, we're gonna have to put the holes in the floor. Somebody told me it's already there, and I can't find
They
it.
used to be,
And,
Yeah.
they used to be.
years ago.
I think when they redid the court, that all went away,
Yeah.
cause there's not anything.
I couldn't
now.
find nothing with that. But anyway, we'll have it, but this coming year, that we will have the blinds on the floor that's supposed to be there. We'll have the stuff. We've ordered, for this year, we talked about uniforms, and I think what the coaches have decided, by the way, the Mackenzie
Tolbert.
she played too, she's a aide to Miss very hard, and she hired, she was going to be the assistant volleyball coach at Cotter, along with the coach, and she came here. When I found out she played college volleyball, and played 4 years at Mount Home, I kind of recruited her, and she's agreed to do that, and but she's gonna practice with them, and she's gonna, when we're trying to schedule a few games, on, you know, and some of them we might have to travel, we do, but we just want to play. We want our kids playing, getting used to the rules, you know. A lot of people think volleyball is just where you hit back over the net. Well, there's a strategy to that, just like there's basketball or anything else, you know. There's coaching involved in that, so, there needs to, our kids need to get used to doing that. And, this year we're gonna do, I talked to coaches today, and they'd like to do like just a t-shirt with a numbered t-shirt, a couple of them, and, then look at some uniforms over the summer, where they can, and then basically get some sizes also, they know who's gonna be there and who's gonna play, and get some sizes that we can order and start actually in the conference next year. That'll be scheduled for us next year, the conference will be in, next year, who will play. And they used to have to play, A through AAA, now you only play A through AA, you know, so. And I think eventually, if everybody starts playing, I think we'll eventually go, you play each classification like we do in basketball. I might be wrong about that. But anyway, I got a meeting tomorrow night that, and we're gonna, if any parents wanna come, or any kids wanna come, we're kinda gonna explain to them about, you know, how we're gonna do things, and if we got any questions or whatever, they can ask them, to do that. But I thought 46 kids signed up was really a good number, for us to have.
Do they have like 2 teams, like a junior high team and then a
Oh,
senior
yeah,
high
we'll
team?
have a junior high and a senior high team, yes, ma'am. And I've asked Coach Stratman also, during the volleyball season, if he'll get those 5th and 6th graders, with PE, if he could do a little volleyball. Of course, Coach Stratman's pretty willing to do, but pretty much whatever you want to do. And he said he would do that. He would get them into volleyball, and they can kind of start learning some of the rules and some of the wisdoms down there.
Okay. Did you need, action on that handbook revision?
Yes.
And Ms. Jones wants to explain something to you too,
Okay.
maybe before you do that.
Okay.
Did you talk to him about like you explained to me today?
Well, that's coming next. It's not about the handbook.
No, I know, but.
Okay, no, that's after they vote on the handbook.
Okay.
We'll go over that first.
Did you get that?
Yep,
You did?
yep.
Would you mind to read it back?
For the handbook, they are now weighting concurrent classes on a 5.0 grading scale, essentially, right?
Okay.
Right.
That's the motion? Okay.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
All right, we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay.
I know she's not talking about the handbook, but she explained something to me today that I really didn't understand.
Yep.
And, it didn't look, in one way, it didn't look as bad as what you'll put in my contract for me, and then another way, you didn't see it. So anyway, I'll let her explain some of that for
First of all, did y'all get the slide deck I sent you about the grading, the school grading, and all those slides that went into all the mathematical formulas about growth and all that?
Yep.
Cause that
Yes.
kinda ties to what she's about to talk about, I just wanna make sure y'all saw it.
A lot of material.
Yes, it's a lot, a lot.
Yeah. Take off.
I got till 7 o'clock.
You'll be here long.
Alright.
We don't need a.
She can use that the whole time too, look
Yeah.
at the chart.
Yeah.
She explained to me today some things I didn't understand exactly, but go ahead.
Alright, well, first of all, told you we'd have a plan for you to go over as far as our growth on our assessment and what we're looking at, kind of a plan. It's not a flow chart because I couldn't fit all my words into a flow chart. So it's more of game plan. So, we'll get to that in a minute. But one of the first things that we realized was, you know, when you said 5% growth across the board in every subject, we started looking at how our tests are scored, and we were like 5% of what? So we're gonna get there in a minute, but one of the other contingencies was at or above, state levels of proficiency in certain areas. So, you hold that, and you hold that.
Alright, got it.
Okay. Alright, so, I wanted to show you something that we got, and we got the science now and the math. So, we're gonna start with science, but, alright, so, and I'm gonna let y'all take these and then just kinda share them, because I didn't get access to color copy until like 4 or something. So, but I wanted to show you, these are all the schools in our co-op. And if you'll notice up here, it's gonna tell you science, and it says like, the first page is 03. So that's 3rd grade science. And the red bar is the state average, and the highlighted number is gonna be where Norfolk falls for every school in our co-op, big, small, and everything.
They
Okay?
would not label the other schools for us,
Yeah, it
sorry.
wouldn't like, they just sent us the graph and highlighted our score. So I wanna walk through this. So we were above state average. Here's 5th grade science, way above state average for 5th grade. Here is 6th grade, if you flip, I'm sorry, oh, we went 3rd, 4th, this is 5th grade. We're still above state average. 6th grade, 2nd in the co-op for science. Then 7th grade, 2nd in the co-op still.
Yes.
And then 8th grade,
And this is the grade that I told y'all before, when we look at them across the board, you're gonna see
Mhm.
that one grade is very low across the board. We are trying to figure out how to address that.
this year's 9th graders.
Yes.
Yeah, that's
This
These
year's
are our
9th graders.
COVID 3rd
Yes.
graders. Yes.
3rd grade.
And then 4th grade, we started talking about how much time they missed, not just the year of COVID,
Mm.
but then if you remember the year right after COVID, Norfolk still had to dismiss a lot when these kids were in 4th grade, because so many teachers were sick, you didn't have teachers to cover. This was right before I came. I came your 2nd year after COVID, and we still were 6 feet apart, kids were still getting sent home. But I'm just telling you, at that critical reading stage, that's, and period across the board, you're gonna see that with this 8th grade group. All right, then you go from 8th grade, remember 9th grade is not tested. That's why the next one you're gonna see is biology. Still, pretty close. And so that's our science grades across the board. All right. All right. That should be the next one.
Mhm.
All right, so here are your math grades. So again, starting at 3rd grade, above state average. 4th grade, above state average. 5th grade, just a little below.
6th grade, #1 in the co-op.
No, not this
Oh.
one. You're ahead of
We're not there, oh, that's ELA.
You missed your cue there.
Yeah.
I'm
Little
doing
early.
that one.
6th grade,
Oh, she took
Yeah.
it.
7th grade, and 8th grade. It's not very long. Then from there, remember we go to algebra, which we have a brand new teacher in this year. And we have geometry. Yes. So, we know where our work is now. Geometry is pretty much it until we go to ACT as far as the age of those kids. So you gotta realize once we get algebra, geometry, so. And then,
Now we're on that.
yeah.
Just kidding. I gave you a preview, a little sneak peek.
All right, so there's the ELA. And again, look at your ELA, 3rd grade, 4th grade, or 3rd in co-op. Like I said, that includes all your big schools. 4th grade, I'm sorry, that's 5th grade. 6th grade, we were first in co-op in ELA. Uh-huh.
I'm a little less, like,
I know,
I
it's
already
always
read it.
thought
Like, I already know the ending of the story.
Spoiler alert.
Oh my gosh.
Spoiler.
Yeah, 7th grade, still above. There's our 8th grade. Then we have our 9th grade and our 10th grade. So all but one of our ELA grades, and you can see, like I said, when you look at our 8th grade. And it's not because it's not being addressed with them, I promise you. 50, I've said this over and over again, half of that grade is either on an IEP or a 504. And when the state tells us that 9% of our student body total should be being served through special services like that, 9%, we just got high numbers there. And then with that class alone, very high numbers.
How many students is that?
8th grade, I'm gonna say 35, 37, yeah. So, yep, you're talking, what, 18 out of that are being served, or at least were, yeah. So, and they've been that way since I came here when they were 5th grade or whatever it was. They've been very high in those numbers, which I can see why.
And that was a code in 3rd grade.
Right,
And that, then 3rd grade is a grade you either, kind of makes you or breaks you.
yeah,
You know,
absolutely.
For your whole thing.
Especially for
And that's what I
reading.
said, do all of them, are all of them truly suffering from some kind of, learning disability, or probably not. But it's what's just absolutely stifled their academic growth, and it's just obvious in the numbers. So, I wanted to show you that, number one, because, we wanted to, and that's what Mr. Blow said, he said, I have no idea, out of the co-op that we had done that well. And, even though our numbers may look low to us, and they may not be what we want, we wanted you to see what everybody else in the co-op looked like too. Now, that doesn't earn us a higher grade on our school report card or anything, but it does show you that we're not just holding our own, we're doing pretty good. So with what we did on the second year of that test.
Are you gonna explain the school report card, how? Okay. You explain it to me. You
So-
gotta slap my hand if you're gonna do it.
No, you and Miss Chapman are just stealing my thunder, I'm telling you. Okay, and I'm gonna ask you, just like I do my students and my teachers, don't be looking ahead, follow. And rock
Don't
those
do
there.
it.
I'm not gonna
Don't
teach.
say
Don't
anything.
look ahead and then start asking questions when I'm not there yet.
Not doing it.
So, I talked to you, you said the 5% growth. So, I was sitting with Ms. Chapman and Ms. Bradbury last week, and I said, all right, so at 2:30 in the morning last night, which we all joke about what we thought about the night before, 3 a.m. And I said, my thought was 5% of what? Exactly what is 5%? 5% growth is hard to determine. Now, if you say 5% of proficiency, what I have here on the front page is just the 4th grade in general. I just took the 4th grade ELA to kind of use as a model. So if you look this line right here, 3rd one down, this is the 4th grade score. So if you'll notice, it shows where it says percent proficient, go all the way down, it says 52%. So 52% of our fourth grade was proficient, and that means they had to have scored in the 3 or 4 range, okay, of the test. So I said, okay, if they're saying 5%, this one's real easy for me to figure out. Then they expect this group of kids, who are 5th graders now, to go to a 57% proficiency. Makes sense. Good goal, because, you know, yeah, we want to see our kids be proficient. However, that is only a small part of our overall report card grade, and that does not take into account the growth of all our other students, which is huge. And it needs to be, because we don't want to just take these kids who are already performing up here really close and push them up into proficient. These kids down here really need us. So first of all, I just wanted to show you the class as a whole. All right, so if you turn the page, this was part of that slideshow, and I was trying to walk you through some of the key points that I thought would, you know, help make sense to this whole report card score. So this is part of the new accountability system, which is part of what they were talking about on that video you showed this morning. I was right, it was through AAEA, and I had gotten it. So this kind of tells you overall what goes into student growth report. And notice it says achievement. So that's the ones that you're talking about, being proficient. So those are the students that are achieving a level 3 or 4 on the state assessment. That is one of the priorities. Another priority is growth of all students. So students who are achieving their individual growth targets. That doesn't mean they're proficient. That doesn't even mean they move to the next level. And I'm going to show you what it means in just a second. And students, and then it says growth of the lowest 25%. And that's in each group and each curriculum area. So then it talks about success-ready graduates, students who are graduating on time and post-secondary readiness. That's in there too. But I want you to go to the next one, the elementary and middle school. And this really kind of breaks it down again. So the achievement, students who are achieving a 3 or 4, that makes them proficient in English language arts, proficient in math, and proficient in science. Growth of all students, they met their growth target, their English language. We don't have ELPs, we just don't have anybody on one. And then they met their growth target in math or met their growth target in science. Now notice, we get points from having the percentage of proficiency. We get points for kids who've met their growth target, all students, and then we get points again for those that are in the lowest quartile who meet their growth targets. So they kind of count double for us, moving those kids in the lowest quartile. This next one I just included because these are some details in high school that kind of tell you some other things that are specific to high school that also add to our growth and our overall report card score. Things like what Ms. Chapman was talking about, the merit and distinction, that's going to be a new piece that's in our report card grade. The graduation rate, 4 years. You know, if they go 5 years, we can, but still, it's if they graduate on time. And then again, the growth of the lowest quartile overall, and then overall proficiency. So I wanted you to see that, and then I want you to see this next page, and all of this is not going to mean a whole lot to you, but down here at the bottom where it says realistic estimated expected growth for a student this year, we take their summative from just this last spring, and then we have to add what's called the SEM value, which is the standard error of measure. Thank you. Standard error of measure, and I'm going to show that to you. So that's what they talk about meeting their growth target. So your next page, I literally took last year's 4th grade. I didn't run all the students, but I told you up here, there were a total of, there's 48 students in that class that was at the end of last year. That's this year's 5th graders. And rerouted them, I turned them upside down so that you can see the lowest quartile. And in that's 12 students. Now, I'm not even indicating which of these 12 students already are on an IEP or 504, getting some type of service already. But this is your lowest quartile. And if you look, it's going to tell you what level they scored, but right here where it says their ELA scale score, Notice it's got a score that usually starts with 10, and then a number after it, and then it's got a plus or minus. And their growth target would be that scaled score plus that number. Okay? So that's gonna be the growth target for each individual student.
It's different for each
Yeah,
individual.
so
student.
I pulled a student from the lowest quartile. I blocked out all their information, but I just wanted you to see, this is the report, part of their report. So this particular student, I want you to see where they scored. They are just barely a level 2, just barely. As you can see, the line is a 1043, and they are a 1044, plus or minus 4. So, our teachers this year would take this student, whoever has this student, and their target by the end of the year is to have a summative that's at a 1048. That meets their expected growth model. Now, you can see a 1048 does not even get them to the next level, to a 3, because that's a 1060. But they get credit for that kind of growth. Now, percentage, I don't know. I'm not a mathematician. I couldn't go through and tell you that's a 5%, a 10%, a 2% growth. But I know that's the growth target for each individual student. And that's what the state's looking for as far as saying that we've shown growth. So, questions?
How was that plus or minus number determined? Do you know that?
It has to do with their standard error measure and the way this test works. This test adapts with them as they take it. And they're being tested on grade level skills, but the depth of knowledge they're being tested on depends on how they answer the previous question. So if they get it right, it goes to a higher level score. If they get it wrong, it backs down to not a deeper level, not such a deep level of knowledge. And it bounces around like that. The more consistent they are within that area, the smaller that number is going to be. So if I have a student that's got a really high plus or minus or that SEM score, that tells me a couple of things. Number one, either they were guessing. Number two, they could be really low and they're struggling, and they're not real consistent with their answers. It could also be a student who's really high and that test keeps, it keeps topping out on them. But typically, it's right there within a 4, 5, 6, something like that is what we typically see. I know it's a lot of information, but I tried to simplify. I cut out several pages.
I know at the high school level, one thing we're talking about, which Karen will talk more about tonight, is motivation or student rewards, because by the time they get to the high school level, they figure out, they kind of get this attitude of what's in this for me? Why am I taking this test? Why does it matter? And if we're not rewarding them or communicating why this is important, sometimes you look at those kids that will just go in and they'll just start guessing. And we don't want that. Obviously that's not going to reflect well on our score. So that's another thing that we're trying to really figure out at the high school level is how do we motivate them to make sure that they're doing their best.
And it's not just that. I think they also assume the attitude that we take about the test and about academics in general. And if we're not taking it seriously and we don't say it's important, then they don't take it as important. And unfortunately, sometimes we can say it's important at school and it's not imposed as important at home. And that battle we fight a lot with them, a lot of things. But I think our attitude gets reflected, and in the classroom that they take that test, that individual teacher, their attitude towards that test makes a big difference too, in motivation.
Oh, yeah.
So, this is what you all were asking, and I want you to know that it is a live document. It is going to grow, it's going to change, but this is the plan that we have so far.
Thank you.
You're welcome. For what we plan on doing, and I know you can read through all of this, but I wanted to show you what we've broken it down into. Some of which we already told you. That number one was when I went through and educated the teachers. They had the binders. They were given, all the things that I showed you in the last board meeting, and all of that's mentioned in that first level Also, you're gonna notice out beside each one of these items, you wanted to know accountability, or, you know, who's in charge of that, or who's gonna be keeping up with that, so I put names out there beside, so you can see who was taking care of what. We're at step 2 right now. We've got to determine our tier 2 and tier 3 intervention needs, and that's by reviewing these scores, and then determining placement. You know, what do they need first, what do they need immediately, and then we're dividing them into their groups. The tier 2 needs, some things that we've already put into place this year that's new. We now have a high school strategic reading class. We already had one in place for 7th and 8th grade, and they take it for a semester, and we try to get all students through that class, 7th and 8th grade. We have now added a 9th through 12th grade, it's pretty much 9 through 11, strategic reading high school class that is all year long, so to further address those needs. The WIN groups at the high school, that's something that Ms. Braun and I will be working on to put them together. But our plan currently is that 2 days a week, they will, after a diagnostic, they're gonna be on IXL, working on that specific area of need. 1 day a week, that teacher that is in charge of that group, which involves every teacher that we have available, is not on a prep. During that WIN time, they will be responsible for providing a lesson within their area of knowledge. So if I've got a history teacher that's got a language class, they're gonna be responsible for coming up with a reading passage or a writing activity that relates to what they're knowledgeable about. And then we are also gonna dedicate a day right now every week for reading, just reading silently. Because one of the things that the state has said is that we have too many kids either reading audio, listening to audio, or not reading at all. And we know that's a huge piece of our vocabulary and our foundational skills. So we thought for right now, we're gonna start with that. If we decide to adjust in the second 9 weeks or whatever, we can. But that's the plan for 4 days a week right now. Do you have a
So
question?
the question about the silent reading,
Mm-hmm.
how does that fit into the dyslexic students and those that have accommodations
Well,
that might not benefit much from the silent reading of the way that they're doing it incorrectly?
Right,
Does that make
well, and
sense?
a lot of them, you gotta understand, are gonna be, during that time, they will be receiving special services.
Okay.
During that WIN time, a lot of our students that get those dyslexia services, that's when they're seeing their intervention.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
And not to say that some are not using audiobooks as a read along. What we don't want them doing is just listening and not following along.
Sure.
So some of those, that is part of their plan.
Good.
And that's better than nothing. But, so that's high school's plan for right now. And I just kind of spelled that out. Elementary does theirs a little differently. You know, they've got push-in paraprofessionals, they've got small groups that they do within their classroom. So some of that's addressed that way. And then their tier 3 needs, notice that it says those with an IEP receive that tier 3 intervention usually through their special ed teacher. Students in the bottom quartile will receive additional support through small group tutoring. I listed that. And then our dyslexia specialist, this is what we consider level 3 intervention. And then one of the things that we just found out about last week, just got Thursday, I think we found out that they are gonna make the high impact tutoring grant option again. We are gonna try and put in for that, trying to figure out how we can best utilize those funds if we can get those funds. And that would give us some more boots on the ground as far as being able to do some small group tutoring with certain students. And like I said, matter of fact, we're gonna go visit with another school this Thursday. Ms. Bradbury, Ms. Chapman, and myself, we're gonna go visit.
Wednesday.
Yes, Wednesday. Yeah, we'll be here quick. To talk to somebody who's been doing this a while, to kind of pick their brain about it. And then we're also gonna be working with a well-known grant writer to give us some insight into some grant writing. So we have to have that submitted by the 9th of September. Should know something by the 23rd of September if we can get some of that place. The monitoring, you can see how the monitoring is going to be done. This is where the teachers have to monitor their individual progress. They're gonna be tracking that data with their students. They've got to keep up with those individual student scores and growth towards those scores. Ms. Bradbury and Ms. Chapman are gonna be responsible for pushing in for walkthroughs and observations to ensure that the standards are being taught, that they're using their depth of knowledge chart, that they're using their HQIM materials. And then we started working on incentives. And so you can see some of the incentives that we've proposed. We're talking about doing first quarter, we want to recognize growth from one summative to the next. So we have to do that within the next couple of weeks. After the middle of the year, students who show growth toward that individual goal, which is what I was telling you about, will be rewarded. After the summative, students who have met that individual growth goal. So it doesn't mean they had to jump a whole level, but if they could meet that goal, we want to reward that for sure. And then for our high school, we thought we can't leave them out because all this kind of stops at 10th grade. So for our 11th and 12th graders, Ms. Braun and I talked about, and we've both seen this at the AD Summit, thought it was a great idea. So we want to start what they call the 21 Plus Club, the ACT 21 Plus Club, encouraging our students to raise that ACT score. So when they achieve a score of 21 to 25, when they get that 21, they're going to be part of the club. A yard sign, a banner, a celebration, that kind of stuff. A 21 to 25 would equal a silver level. A 26 to 30 would be a gold level. And a score of 31 to 36 would be a platinum. And we think that those students that earn those levels ought to be recognized at graduation. Just like we get cords for certain things, we'd like to see them get a medal and get to wear that medal for graduation, because that's huge.
Yeah.
And when our, average score sometimes doesn't even meet the minimum for a college entry, which is 19 usually, we want to push for that. And I can say we already have one who took it as a 9th grader who could be our first inductee, so.
Wow.
Yeah. And then we added this afternoon, one of the pieces that we've also talked about is, the teachers are going to start working on their PGP, which is their professional growth plan, as part of their teacher evaluation system, which is also how they earn merit pay or can put in or be considered for merit pay. We want at least one of their goals to be directly aligned with the district's goal of the overall growth of students. And I've talked to Ms. Bradbury and to Ms. Chapman about the ELA, the science and the math, it's pretty obvious what goals they're shooting for. But our other teachers in those other subjects, they're going to help guide those teachers in the direction they would like to see them support, whether it's we want you to really push through, ELA, especially if you're a history or whatever. And if you're Mr. Pendergrass, obviously that's great for math and science and so forth. So, okay, I'm almost out of spit and time, so.
You got another hour.
So you said this was an ongoing, open documentation. How often are you gonna be updating this, evaluating this, gonna
Well,
add
this
to
is,
it,
our
change
plan,
it?
yeah, and it's open to all of these ladies, to Ms. Braun. So I said, anytime we think of something, if you want
Like
to
at
add something.
2:30 in the morning thought.
Yes. Hey, I
get
can
it,
say
get it.
that. Pam literally sent me something. It was supposed to be a code to get into a program, and she said, I sent you that invite, didn't you get it? And it had a code, and I went in, I said, Pam, it expired in 15 minutes. When did you send it? And I looked at the date and the time, 2:39. I said, well, I'm sorry, I wasn't up by 3 to join. So it really does happen.
Sounds right.
Yeah, you know. So, but anyway, they're free to go in and add if we, and I said, hey, if we go in and change something, let's go in and color code it, put a date. We decided,
Good idea, yeah.
this isn't working, we're gonna change to this. So I just want it to be a document that we can all go in, visualize, and anybody can add to, or hey, I'm thinking about this. You'll notice I've even got one on there on the back that says, ask Pam. It's on the incentives for higher achievement, and we were talking about what we're gonna do for K2 because, they just get in and they don't have those results, so we've even already started talking about what do we do to recognize them at the beginning of the year, so that's why I said we can throw questions in there. Hey, Karen, have you thought about this? Brooke, you need to check this. So if we can't be in constant contact verbally, you know, we can throw it on the dock and it can go, so.
We talked about today too, that, just because we've got it down, if we say it's not working, we're not staying with it. I mean,
Right.
we're gonna try,
Yeah.
that's why she talked about evolving.
Mhm.
Because if we find a better way of doing something, that's what we want to do, and they want to do as a group.
Right.
But that's what I think they want me to do is just provide them what they need and stay out of the way.
Yep.
And then,
Sounds-
really,
I didn't see that on the plan, but I feel like it was probably a friend.
They are all academics and, you know, they know what, I've got confidence in them, they know what they're doing. And, I'm just gonna ask them today, kindly a few questions about what they need and what their priorities are and, you know, I think that's my responsibility as superintendent is to try to provide them the things they need and get the right people, and I think I've got them.
A lot of work, thank you guys.
Yes, thank you, yeah.
Yeah, look forward to
I'm
being
not thinking
able
about
to.
leaving any of them off the list right now.
Not yet.
Yeah, this is good. I appreciate it very much, and
Yes,
I
thank
look
you.
forward to being able to follow along and see how things are going.
And it was very thorough, thank you, we
You're
appreciate that.
Okay.
You have a time for a sandwich.
Did they do what you?
Oh, yes,
Okay.
absolutely.
Okay, that's what I wanted to make sure that they.
We tried
I
to
thought-
follow it.
Yeah, we did try to make a flow chart. There was too much detail to put on the chart.
I didn't give you enough.
No, this
detail.
is easy to follow.
Thank you very
You're
much.
welcome.
Any other questions before we move on? Okay.
So are we still good with the goals? You feel like the goals that were established are still in line with?
I think so. I don't feel bad about them. But the only thing I can say is, you know, if it's kind of like I said there, if it's not working out, we might move the goals. You know, not saying the same thing, right? Okay. No, I think it's fine. I really
An
do.
obtainable
I
goal.
think that it's very attainable. But like I said, I've got confidence in these three ladies right here, and you know, they know what they're doing. When I met with them today, I was kind of astonished. I just kind of sat there and looked at them. Like I do for speaking Spanish, you know, and I don't know Spanish. No, really though, I thought we had a good meeting today, and I knew that they're on top of it, and they're, like she said, you know, the things that you think about 2:30 in the morning, you know, and you need to, you know, this weekend we're going to discuss something. That's Mr. Davis, we have executive session talking about an employee thing, but you know, sometimes you just sit and think about things and you know, you think, well, that ain't right, or this ain't right, or that ain't right, or we need to do this, or, but anyway.
Okay. Well, with that being said, we will adjourn to executive session
Oh, I wanna say something. I
Okay.
do wanna ask something. Sorry. So a few months ago, we had talked about in a meeting, like changing the outline and adding a student focus or a group focus or a club focus. Can we, now that we're in school, can we add that? Are y'all good with that? We had all
Yeah, I think
agreed
that's a
on
good
that, I
idea.
think, at the beginning of the meeting, and then they could leave or whatever after, if it's just a student or a club or a team or whoever. I'd kinda like, now that we're in session, I'd like to go ahead and start that if we can, and I think we had talked about either group, but you said you'd already had a few people already, so.
Yeah, well, we're actually, there's, Ms. Bookout is starting student council at our high school, and we're about to have student council elections, so that would be by the September meeting,
Okay,
that'll be in place, that would be a good.
yeah, but
Yeah.
anything going on in either school, I think would be great, so just a few minutes and then they can leave or whatever, but I was just thinking about that on my drive down here, and I was like, you know, now that school's in, we talked about it, I think, at the May meeting, and then now that
Yeah, use
school's
your
in
chance to
session.
recognize a group. or-
Absolutely,
Yeah.
yeah.
Celebrate successes.
You know, exactly,
Yeah, no problem with that.
exactly, so, okay, sorry,
Good.
sorry.
Anything else?
President.
Okay, we'll convene to executive session at 5:54.
You're going to the courthouse? Right.
Are we up and going?
Yeah,
Yeah.
we got a short this thing somewhere.
Yeah, I was gonna say you're stepping on it.
That's part of the plan.
Yeah.
Self
Where do we
a
meet
lot.
at 7?
Wait, where we go?
Cafeteria.
I know, it did, it came on for just a second.
I just go ahead.
All right.
Okay. We will call the meeting back to order at 6:42. Okay?
I would ask you to let me hire like a 3 or 4 hour lunchroom person. So let me put on a potato bar and a salad bar for the students and the teachers. Having Ms. Bradbury, I don't know if she wants to 4 through 6 yet or not, but 7 through 12 at least. And one reason is I know our high school kids just don't have enough time to get to the line to eat and have time to eat. And I don't know how she feels about the 4 through 6 having an option.
Still thinking about that. I'll have to check with, kind of get a consensus of
Okay.
it would be worth.
But I would like to be able to hire that person, please.
Okay.
I don't know who that, I don't have anybody in mind, that would be, Ms. Beaver's choice, to who she would put in that position.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
Have a motion and a second to hire an extra lunch person. Any questions or? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, very good. Anything else?
Anything else?
Anything else? All right, well,
Oh, I do.
Okay.
So, sorry, I'm like really loud today. We are doing free physicals on Thursday at the school, so everybody needs to make sure their forms are in, but since we have like 500 volleyball players, they'll need to be included in that as well, so they'll need to make sure they pick up theirs too, so you might put
Tell
a.
them that tomorrow night.
Mhm, yeah.
You tell them that tomorrow night. And y'all are kind of, if you want to, I mean, we're gonna just try to meet with anybody, might be, no one shows up, I don't know, but what we're gonna try to do is just explain what what we're gonna do this year and how it's gonna come in. And I'll have the lady is gonna have Joe with the volleyball there too.
Yeah, so that'll be, we'll be starting at 9, and we're gonna try to, I have 2 providers this year and several volunteers, so it should go faster than it has before, and we'll do a couple of grades at a time instead of half the school and the other half of the school, so, anyway, and it's free of charge to all the kids, so.
I'd like to say one thing, first. I appreciate you 3 ladies.
yes.
I'll give you a hand.
All right, anything else?
Okay.
Done? All right. All right, well, if that's the case, then.
Make a motion to adjourn.
I'll
I'll
second.
second.
Oh.
All right, motion and second to adjourn, all in